good evening, good morning, good night, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Live from Alaska on Wednesday night. It's good to see you all in the chat. I'm going to say hi to a few people. But before I do, if you don't know what this is about, if this is the first time you're on this chat, this live stream, it's a time when you can ask questions. I'll try and answer them or talk about tips and tricks or methods or anything like that. Anything to do with filmmaking, videography, drones, phones, cameras, all that. And by phones, I mean like the video photography aspect of phones. Anything like that, that's what this night is for. And time for us to all hang out and learn from one another. So, Journeyman, nice to see you. Mr. 305 for real. I do have some information for you. Richard Black from Alabama. Nice. Hello. Elsie. Ciao. Cheers. Mark Lassenby. Hey, good to see you. Middle of the workday there. That's a hell of an intro. Thank you. Took me forever to put that together. I don't know why. It just, like doing the countdown and all that, it really took me a long time to figure that out. So, Pravid, good to see you too. Let's see. Hey, bud. Nice to see you. Richard Black. You got your Part 107. Congratulations. That's fantastic. Glad to hear it. Hey, Alex from Gold Coast, Australia. Hey, man. How's it going? I don't know. Well, yeah, depending on where Gold Coast is. Anyway, I have another friend in Australia that's a little further north, and he sent me some video clips of just absolute torrential rain. And hopefully that will move to where you all have had the fire issues soon. So, and hopefully those fires are dying down now that the temperatures are starting to come down and stuff like that. But Richard, that is awesome. Congratulations for passing your Part 107. It's not an easy test. It's not super hard, but it's not easy. You do actually need to know a few things when you go in to take that. So congratulations. That's very exciting. Mr. 305, you're in Miami. Aw, nice. Fires now floods. Crazy weather. Seems to be that way a lot. That's the way it was this last summer here too. So no floods. Well, we did have anyway. But we did have a lot of fires up here this winter. So, all right. So if you got questions, put them in the chat. I'll do my best to answer them, or other people try and answer them. We're gonna, I don't have anything really super specific I want to talk about other than for those of you in the video / camera / photo space, did you see the rumors of Canon's new EOS? What is it? It's the R, but it's like the 5R. It's a mirrorless 8K supposedly. Just insane stuff. So it looks very, very interesting. I'm very curious now if Sony doesn't come out with something decent at the if Sony doesn't come out with something decent with the A7S, everybody's going to be saying how Sony is done, etc. I don't think that's true. I love how the internet just jumps to all kinds of conclusions just as fast as possible to get out there. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually, that's actually the case. But it will be interesting to see what they do. I realized I forgot to. There we go. Done. There we go. Okay. Making sure there are links everywhere for everybody to be able to see and join us. So, Mr. 305 for real, I did some work and I did some research. There are not very many internal zoom lenses made for Micro Four Thirds mount. That lens, and then there's an Olympus lens that's similar. It's like 14 to 35, I think, or something like that. That is, those are both really great lenses. They're very lightweight too, which means you can, the trick to working with the zoom lenses, external zoom lenses on a gimbal, like say this, for example, when I balance this on my gimbal, if I balance it like this and then I zoom out like that, it is going to be front heavy. And if the gimbal is powerful enough, it's not too big a deal. Like I do this on the Weeble S and it will work fine, but it will put a lot more strain on the tilt motor here. And so If I know I'm going to be zooming in and out, then what I will do is find the midpoint of the zoom range where the lens is about halfway in, halfway out, and then balance it there. And then that way, the difference between your in and your out works fine. So if you balance it with the zoom in the middle, on this lens, it's about there, right around 50 millimeters for this one. And then it's not enough strain on either side that it really will destroy your gimbal, unless you're like pushing the weight limit of the gimbal to its absolute limits with just your basic setup. Now, the other option you have, which is actually a good option, it's a heavy lens and it's a long lens, and so it will push depending on the gimbal you're using, and you can tell me which one you are, Mr. 305, it may be too heavy for smaller gimbals. If you're using something like the DJI Ronin S, shouldn't be a problem. The Weebill S probably could handle it, but the Ronin SC or the Weebill Lab definitely could not. But that is the 18 to 35 Sigma art lens for Canon EF, and then you want to get the Metabones speed booster to go from Micro Four Thirds to Canon EF mount. That's a great combo. That lens is fantastic. It's super sharp. It's really great, and it is an internal zoom, so you can zoom in and out, without throwing off the balance of your lens. But I will say it's also it's a heavy lens and it's a long lens, and so your gimbal has to be kind of beefy to use it. So that's my recommendations. If you don't do the Panasonic lens or the Olympus lens, both of them, I had them both pulled up here. There's oh my gosh, well, I had them pulled up and now I don't know where they are. There we go. It's Olympus 12 to 40 f2.8, which is good. And then the Panasonic 12 to 35. The Panasonic 12 to 35 is a great lens. It's really lightweight, but it works really, really well. So you could zoom that halfway and then balance your gimbal with it halfway in and out. And then you could zoom in and out. It really wouldn't, hopefully, throw your gimbal off that much, because the GH4 is a fairly lightweight camera. You should be able to put it on a smaller gimbal and have it work. Sorry, it's been dry up here. So, but yeah, if you don't want to go that way, then what you want to look at is the Sigma. It's the what is it? It's the 18 to 35 f1.8 Sigma lens is great. And then you want to get them, so you want to get it for Canon EF, I'm assuming, and then get the Metabones speed booster to go from Micro Four Thirds mount for the GH4 to the Canon EF mount. And that would be a good setup. It'll just be expensive because the speed boosters are like, at least the ones that pass through all the information that are really good are like $600. And then I'm not sure what that Sigma lens is running right now, but it wasn't cheap either. It was $800 or so when I was, not back in the day, but last time I checked. That makes sense. Yeah. So, Elsie, I assume that's what you mean. You balance it in the middle. See you, bud. Have a great evening. Thanks for tuning in and saying hi. Glad you said hi. Bud, you live in Illinois. Oh, and Bud, you probably already tuned off. But if you haven't, thank you for the offer of the Loon Cubes. That I did shoot a few things with some of the newer Loon Cubes because they did send me 2. And I was trying to figure out how many I would need to do more. But that whole cave system is buried with avalanches now. So it's done. We had a very drastic change in the weather really fast, and that creates really good chances for avalanches. And so, I won't be going back into that cave system until sometime next year or sometime like late this fall, assuming it survives the summer or doesn't change drastically or something like that. So, Brian Ayer, welcome. How you doing, man? Got this. I don't know if you'd be proud of me or not, but I sold my GoPro 8 after I got a new one because the screen cracked. So I sold that. It was brand new. I had, and this is my action camera of choice, except for what I'm putting on my FPV drone is going to be the Hero 7, just because it's already beat up and it works about 50% of the time, which is, anyway. So, but how you doing, Brian? Hope you're doing well. Hope the weather's good where you are. So Mr. 305, let me know if that makes sense to you. And yeah, I like this. This right now, in my opinion, the Osmo Action is the best value for an action camera that you could possibly get right now. You get a front-facing screen, a rear-facing screen. Overall, it works. I mean, it works well. I have had no freeze-ups, no lockups, no problems, other than, when the battery has died. But this is just, it's a beast. And miracle of miracles, ta-da! You can take the lens off and replace it, or put an ND filter on. Unfortunately, you can't do that with GoPro anymore. It's too bad. Yeah, congratulations on the new house, man. That's pretty exciting. So let's see. Mark Lazenby, you're thinking of purchasing the MixPre 3 2, and you believe I have one. What's my thoughts on the unit? So I'm using a MixPre 3 right now. It is a fantastic unit for recording, either like in this sort of setting, a studio setting. I'm using a MixPre 3 with it's the Deity S-Mic 2S, which is a great setup. The MixPre 3 is a super versatile, very powerful, and very clean recording unit. It has really good mic preamps, and this is, for me, that's coming from somebody who's spent years in recording studios working with mic preamps that were multiple thousands of dollars per channel. So they're really good. They're really clean, and I really like them. So once I got the MixPre 3, I was holding on to some other units, and I haven't even bothered to use them since then, because it's really good and it's really versatile. And if you watched, Mark, if you watched the video, actually, if you watched Deity's video about the S-Mic 2S, a bunch of the footage in there was mine. But if you watch the video, I think I put on my channel too, it's my review of the S-Mic 2S. Pretty much everything in that video was recorded with the S-Mic 2S. All the stereo sounds, all the ambient sounds were recorded with the S-Mic 2S in the MixPre 3 setup under my camera, which it's a fantastic setup. I really like it. In fact, this weekend, depending on the weather, I'll be heading out with some friends to try and bike across a big frozen lake to go sit in front of a glacier and film some stuff. And I'm hoping I can take the MixPre 3 with me with the two S-Mic 2S's, because I really wanted to capture the sounds of what the glacier sounds like moving in the winter. It's very different from what they sound like in the summer. It's really different and somewhat eerie. So, but it's very cool too. Yeah. So, but it's a great unit. If you need really high quality audio, the MixPre 3 is a great way to go. And if I had Amazon affiliate link for you in Australia, I don't have it set up there. If I did, I would give it to you. And yeah, but they're great units, very versatile, very powerful, and very good for recording multiple sources in lots of different configurations. So the one thing I wish they would do is, and I probably need to do a review of the MixPre 3, is the, in fact, where is it? Let me see. I wish that they would, well, not that. I gotta find the app. And I don't use the app often enough that I know what it's called off the top of my head, so I have to kind of search for it every single time, which is dumb. There it is, Wingman. The one thing I wish they would do is put more functionality in the app. So here you can see the app functioning. I wish that you could do more like routing and stuff like that with it. You can't really, but whatever. it's kind of nice. You can, check on your levels and stuff like that while you're recording. So I'm going into one and then it's going out left and right. That's how that looks. Yeah, it works. You can also look at it this way if you want. Yeah, it's got the 2 different views, but that's about it. So it's pretty limited use on the app, but it is nice, especially if you're working away from the unit where you're not right next to it. So let me catch up now to the chat. I'm really glad you all are here. Really, really thankful. Friday, I've got a video coming Friday morning, and especially for those of you that have been longtime part of this channel and watch the videos regularly, you're going to want to watch it, partly because it'll have some nice footage in it, but also partly because there's a giveaway in it. And to celebrate hitting 10,000 subscribers, I want to give away this. So it's an Aircross 2. So, keep an eye on that. Richard James from Vancouver Island. Welcome to the stream. Nice to have you here. How's the weather down on Vancouver Island? Just a little way south of me, but not too far. Thanks, Mark. I do. I need to go in there and sign up. I actually do need to do some work on all the, because you depending on the regions and stuff like that, it's really challenging to sign up for some of the other regions on Amazon, because sometimes you can get the partner program you're signing up for to translate into English for you, and then it's easy, but sometimes you can't, and it's really challenging. Anyway, YouTuber problems. So, Mr. 305 for real, you have a Feutech AK4500. Well, that should be able to, that can handle a fair amount of weight. I would still say you're probably going to get better results with the Panasonic lens, balanced halfway out, and then zoom in and out as you need to, than you would the Sigma. Partly because it's a native lens. It's a good lens. It's a really sharp lens, really nice lens, but also because it's considerably lighter and shorter than the Sigma would be. So, and that's the problem. Is not necessarily that the Sigma is heavy, not necessarily the weight overall, but just the fact that it's really long, so it makes the balancing difficult because of where the weight ends up going. Because you either have to push your camera way back, and depending on how big the gimbal arms are and stuff like that, it can be a challenge. So, Richard James 8C. Oh, that's not so bad. What was it up here yesterday? It was I don't know. It's been in the minus 10C range for us, so not too bad. Not too bad, but nice. Hey, Rick Halber. Evening. Good to see you. Yeah, hopefully you're doing well. I have what do I got going on? I'm really excited about going out to the glacier. It's been the first time I've really done much of anything outdoors for a few weeks, month maybe. I think this is December, so a little over a month. And I'm going a little stir crazy. And the nice thing is we're getting longer days now, which means I actually have enough light to work with when I go out to film, that I'm not rushing and racing to get somewhere. So, yeah, be exciting. So, if you're on the stream and you're just joining us, this is the time to ask questions. I'll try and answer them, give you the best answers I can, whether it's about cameras or gimbals or lenses or drones or anything like that. That's what this stream is for, just to have the live interaction and get your questions answered, and help each other out as a community. I always say if people want to ask me questions, they can ask them in the comments below, but sometimes that's challenging, the way a question needs to be phrased, and it's not very immediate, because honestly, sometimes it takes me a week or two to get back through all of my comments, and so depending on how that goes, it can be a while. So, Rick, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I was going to look something up really quickly. Where is it? Nope, not that one. There it is. Yeah, hopefully you're doing well, Rick. I hope this is a super riveting stream. I was trying to look up an email I got from somebody, and anyway, now I can't find it. So, well, not that important, but Richard Black, what's my agenda for the next few since the weather has improved? So my agenda is to try and get back outdoors and filming some of the stuff I do outdoors because this is fine. This is a decent environment, but I want to get back outdoors and be filming some of the stuff that I do out in the locations that I film them. I'm waiting for Siri to ship my anamorphic lens, and as soon as they do, I'll be doing a review of that out somewhere, I'm hoping. I have been dying to do some nighttime astrophotography, but every time we've had really good clear weather, it's been a full moon, and you can't do astrophotography with a full moon because it absolutely destroys it. So I may try and do some stuff out at the face of the glacier, right in between when the sun goes down and we get this blue hour, and before the moon comes up. I might try and do some stuff with the Loom cubes I've got, and yeah. See what I can do. But I've been wanting to do some astrophotography specifically with the Tamron 17 to 2028 because I've been wanting to test that out on it as an astro lens. And the times I messed around with it, it did really well, but it wasn't ideal astrophotography either. So yeah. Richard James, you're ready to buy a new camera this year. Your main system is GH series. You're looking to go full frame. What's my opinion? Oh man. That's a loaded question. That's such a loaded question. So let's see. Oh man, this is the problem. There are so many great cameras out on the market right now. I'm using Sony. I still think, well, especially if they announce an A7R, the A7 IV, that'll be interesting to see what they announce with that. But so, okay, let me ask you this before I answer that question, Richard. What do you primarily shoot? Do you shoot a lot of video and some photos? Do you shoot some photos and shoot a lot of photos and some video? Do you do kind of 50-50 split? And I'm curious about that. So, Elsie, do I use the astro panel in Photoshop for astrophotography? Once I get to actually where I get some astrophotography done, then yeah, I was planning on moving it, playing around with it, and then also playing around with Luminar 4. I really like Luminar 4. 60-40 video. So I'm assuming 60% being video or 40% being video, Richard. Sorry, I don't mean to grill you. Let's see. Mark, you hear me on Astro. You just purchased a 24 Grandmaster or G Master. Good Lord, I gotta stop calling them Grandmasters. So stuck. Mark, oh, that's so frustrating. I'm so sorry. That's like last year I wanted to go do a lot of stuff. And every time we went out, you can see it in my videos, there's always smoke everywhere. It was so hard to capture the amazing backdrop that I have here in Alaska because everything was so covered in smoke. And it just, anyway, yeah. So, I mean, I gotta say, the A7 III is still a really good buy, Richard. If you're, but you're already on the. Well, okay. So this is the thing: if you're gonna jump to full frame, you're gonna have to jump on most of your lenses, unless you've got like Canon. Do you have any other lenses for your GH series already that are not by Panasonic? Because that's gonna be a big difference, like investment wise, if you're gonna have to jump to a full frame system, and you're gonna have to replace all your lenses as well. Like, I mean, here's the thing, like, people tend to just be, you know, just do this, just do that. This is the best. And it's the system they use. And like, I use Sony. I really like Sony. The autofocus is fantastic. The low light performance is excellent. It has a few quirks. The video codec it's good, but it is starting to show some of its age compared to some of the other cameras that are out there. But they're just, I still think Sony's are probably some of the best all around like photo video cameras that are out there right now. And a lot of that is based on the fact that they just have phenomenal autofocus. I mean, just insanely brilliant autofocus. So it just, yeah, it's really hard to go, yeah, just get a Sony though, because you might like something else. I mean, the EOS R certainly has its place. There's the Fujifilm. I'm trying to find that because I can't remember what the designation was. But the Fujifilm, the one, it shoots like 6K. It shoots 10-bit internal RAW. I mean, they threw everything but the kitchen sink in there. The only thing is that it doesn't have quite the autofocus performance of Sony or Canon. And so, yeah, Richard. Oh, you've got Nikon? Oh, man, I wish Nikon would do a little more in the video sphere. So there's the Nikon Z6, which I haven't used personally, but I have heard really pretty good things about it. So take this with somewhat of a grain of salt. But it does shoot at 4K 30. And it'll do, I think 24 and a half megapixel stills. It's full frame. And it is a good camera. I can't speak to exactly how good it is because I haven't personally used one. And I mean, it's funny coming from me as somebody who does a lot of reviews on YouTube. But it's kind of like, yeah, it's the latest and greatest, but is it really? Like, I watch some of these reviews and I'm looking like, well, last month you said that was the latest and greatest, and now you're on to this thing. And yeah, so the Nikon Z6, Nikon Z7, if you have full frame glass for Nikon, then either one of those would be pretty good options for you. I mean, they would be good options for you depending on your budget, and depending on the Nikon Z6 is essentially it's the Nikon version of this. It's a 24 megapixel. The Z7 is the 42 or 45 megapixel version. They're all mirrorless. But so they're good options depending on your budget. The Z6 is like around $1,800. The Z7 I think is probably like $2,800, $2,600, something like that. So hopefully, the only thing is making sure your lenses would work with them, depending on how old they are. I mean, I'm sure they probably would, but better quality stills and low light capability for both is important. Autofocus isn't. So then, yeah, if you looked into the Nikons, I think you'd be pretty happy. They're really, really great. If you weren't going to go with the Nikons, and you wanted to do something else, well, I don't know how the low light performance is on the Fujifilm cameras. It's the XT, XT something or other. Where is it? Oh no, it's not a full frame. I was thinking it was full frame. Sorry, it's not full frame. Just never mind. I was thinking. Anyway, there's some of the Panasonic Lumix cameras are really, really good too. The S1, is it the S1, S1H, S1R, S1H, I think is the one I'm thinking of. They're incredibly powerful, really great though. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. The Lumix, the Panasonic Lumix S1H, DC S1H. It's 24 megapixels. That shoots 6K, 24p video, 422, 10-bit color, all of that. really good cameras. But if you've already got some Nikon lenses, then I would look at the Z6. I think the Z6 you'd be pretty happy with. If you want to get better, bigger photos, then look at the Z7 because that'll give you, double the resolution essentially. But both shoot good video. Yeah, actually, Richard, if you can do that, go into a camera store and just mess around with them, and check with the camera store because sometimes they'll rent stuff for a day. And so if at least my local camera store will rent out a camera body and a lens for both probably around $50 US, which is not bad. If you're considering spending several $1,000s, you could rent out a Sony camera with a 24-70 lens and rent out the Z6 with the equivalent lens and go try them out. See which one you like better. Either way, you're going to be learning a new menu system. You're going to be learning kind of the new camera controls and stuff like that. But I think if you went either way, you'd be pretty happy. So yeah, but yeah, try them out. Okay, let me catch up. Sorry, Mark, you purchased yeah, man. I hope you get the chance to try the 24 out. It is such a fantastic lens. I've rented one once or twice, and man, it's a great lens. I wish I could just buy one, but I can't. So. Mark, chasing tech, it gets expensive quickly. People buy 8K and 6K cameras for uploading to YouTube, and you don't know if that makes sense. Yes, it does get expensive really fast, and it's ridiculous. I'm watching YouTubers buy Red cameras to film their vlogs with, and I just, unless they're doing other stuff behind the scenes that I don't like. Peter McKinnon is doing production work with his Red cameras. He's doing documentary work and stuff like that. So I totally get that. That makes sense. But just for YouTube, for posting on YouTube, I mean, good grief. This does a great job for posting on YouTube, a phone. And hey, Harrison Family Vlogs, welcome. And that's the thing, is tech is a rapidly moving target that you can chase. So Elsie, the two problems for Sony are the 4K 60 and the menu. Yep, I can't argue with you there. It is a problem. So we're hoping that the A7S III, when it comes out someday, would be good. So, vlogging with the Red. I mean, if you got it, you might as well flaunt it, I think is probably some people's mode of operation. As far as those things go, it just, yeah. So, I mean, honestly, like I shoot on this and I shoot on the A6600, and that is primarily what I've used for almost everything. I shoot with action camera occasionally. I shoot my phone sometimes. And for uploading to YouTube, all of that is more than enough. Especially when you see how YouTube takes your 4K video and then just crushes it into what they, do, whatever algorithm they use to crunch it down, compress it for storage requirements. It just got to be real. Now, if you're putting stuff on Netflix or you're, putting stuff on Discovery, then yeah, you're going to be in a different ballpark. But, then you're going to be charging prices that reflect that too. So, Rick Halver, yeah, renting one out. And that's what I've done. Like a lot of times I've really been back and forth on whether I needed to buy a certain lens, like a 70 to 200 size lens. And there have been two shoots this last year that I needed a longer focal length lens for. 3 shoots, I guess 3. So I went down and rented one. It's a lot cheaper than spending $2,400. I got the idea of like whether or not I really need it. Would I put it to use enough to make it worthwhile, to make the investment worthwhile? And ultimately, when Tamron comes out with their 70 to 180 or whatever it's going to be, that's probably what I'll end up with. And I do use it. I would use it enough. essentially, if I had that, I would use the 17 to 28 and the 70 to 180. Just that would be the two lenses I would go and do everything with everywhere. Those are kind of what I need. So let's see, Harrison, you're a Sony user. You'd like to see the EOS R up against a Canon 90D. Yeah, the 90D looks pretty legit. It's pretty good. The only problem is it's APS-C, which isn't as much of a problem anymore as people think. It just, like, it's not as big a deal as it used to be, especially with the new sensor technologies that are coming out. And, like, you know, you can really get some great low light performance with an APS-C camera. It's not as good as a full frame camera, but for most purposes, it's more than enough, realistically speaking. And Journeyman, you're right. It's a good way to write things off your taxes. The only bummer part about that is that you have to spend a lot of money to write off a little bit. And I'm very much about, if you need a piece of equipment and it's going to really drastically improve your workflow or your quality, then yes, it's probably worth the investment. But going from this camera, a sub $2,000 camera, to something like a Red or the Canon C200, that's a $10,000 camera before you put a lens on it, let alone the C500, like, the increase in quality, there is a definite increase in quality, but is it enough to spend 4 or 5 times the amount? It's not 4 or 5 times the quality, unless you're doing work that demands that kind of quality. There's my sum up of my philosophy of gear purchases. So, for example, I did get the MacBook 16 Pro, or the MacBook Pro 16-inch, because my old MacBook was starting to have serious problems, my old MacBook Pro, and that is my workhorse computer. I do everything on it. All my video editing, everything I needed for business and all that. It was having problems like things were working. Things were disconnecting a lot. I was having a hard time like getting it to do what I needed to do. So sold it, sold a few other things, got an eGPU unit for it to help with video processing, and then got the 16-inch MacBook Pro. It has dramatically increased my work efficiency because of the speed that it processes video files. I don't have to import video files because the drive or the card reader disconnected halfway through because of whatever USB errors were happening. I don't know. Anyway, so it just, yeah. Elsie, did I get the anamorphic lens for the Mavic 2 Pro from Moment? I did not. I did, when they announced it originally, I jumped on the Kickstarter. But then after a week or two, I realized the thing with anamorphic is, and this is, I kind of think that the Siru whatever lens will fall into that. Anamorphic is a very specific look. And I really like the way the Moment anamorphic lens looks. However, there are some issues with it, and that was where I decided not to get it. But anamorphic is one of those things that, like, it's a, what's the word? It's a niche. It's not a one-trick pony, but it's a very specific thing. And so, like, is it cool? Absolutely. Does it make things look different? Yes, it does, especially if you get the oval bokeh in the background and things like that. I've been wanting an actual anamorphic lens for a camera, like a proper camera, for a while, and that's what really excited when Siru came out with it. So the reasons I didn't get the anamorphic lens for the Mavic 2 Pro is, and you can see it in some of the reviews out there, is one, everything I do is under a fair amount of time pressure when I'm out filming, because either weather is coming in, or running short on daylight, or whatever it is. I have a very limited amount of time. So to put a lens on the front of this, but you have to turn it on first so it calibrates, and then you put the lens and the rear counterweight on it. But even after watching a few people who got theirs early, or a few people who got theirs, like Potato Jet, I think, got one, or maybe it was Jason Ball. I don't know. Somebody got one, and I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. Their gimbals were having a hard time. Like, they kept flopping down, which is basically the gimbal motors are overloaded, and they're just like, nope, I'm done. And then eventually they came back. But that's fine. I like the look of it. The problem for me is that you're potentially really wearing down or burning out your gimbal motors, and I don't have the time to do several, like 4 or 5 run throughs of a shot to make sure I get the shot correctly. And thanks, Rick. So what about shooting? Like, I have pretty limited amounts of time, and so I'm, it has to work. That's the reason I don't have a GoPro anymore. I just couldn't trust it to work, and so that was it. I like, if I can't trust a piece of equipment to work, I'm not going to use it, because I don't have time to mess around with figuring out if it did work or not. Who wants to sit out there at 20 below zero and like work with something until it works for 20 or 30 minutes? It becomes not fun very quickly. So, but yeah, so that's why I didn't get the Moment 2 lens. I do know a few people that got one, and I'm kind of curious to try it. I've asked them what they thought. Most of them kind of been like, it's nice, it's cool. It does change the way the footage looks, which makes sense. It's kind of a little, a little blurrier, not blurrier, but it has some distortion to it, which is proper for anamorphic lenses. But it just, I quickly realized the amount of times I would use that lens. Thank you, Mr. 305. The amount of times I would use that lens for the cost of it just wasn't worth it for me, because like it's all I can do to when I have this thing with me, to take ND filters sometimes, or switch ND filters sometimes. Like, it just takes time, and it's space in my backpack too, which I don't really like to do. I mean, I have the Moment anamorphic lens for my phone, and it's cool. I've messed with it a couple of times, but it just, it's, the limitations of a phone. I didn't use it that much, and so that's my thoughts on the Moment anamorphic lens for the drones. Now, if they worked with DJI, or DJI worked on something, or Autel or whoever, to where it was something simpler that you popped on there or put in there or something. I don't know how you would do it exactly, because you need a fair amount of glass elements. It would be, that would be interesting. But anamorphic is a really specific thing. The heck? I don't know why that's doing that. Anyway, did my mic get low? Oh, there we go. Thank you, Rick. I turned it down so you didn't have to hear me sneeze, and I didn't quite turn it all the way back up to where it was supposed to be. Appreciate that. So yeah, that's where I am with that. Friday, I'm headed out. Friday, I've got a video coming out. My Friday 5 is going to be about editing drone footage. Just 5 simple tips to edit drone footage, how to edit drone footage. And there'll be a giveaway at the end of that. And then Saturday, I'll be headed out to go film. Hopefully go film, if the weather's good, out in front of a glacier. So I've got a couple of things I'll be working on that, and I'll be taking my FPV drone to FPV over a glacier, which is essentially the reason I started getting into FPV. Is there were several specific things that I want to do with a drone and a glacier, but it has to be an FPV drone. It can't be a regular drone, so we'll see. LC, good performance, only slow movement. Yeah. So, yeah, and that's the thing. And I've noticed, even with this, without anything on it, without ND filter or something like that, if I'm flying, around, I'm usually battling winds of some sort. And I've noticed that with this, the gimbal will have issues. And then, because a lot of times I'm flying in the cold, they have these little, you'll never see them on the camera, but up inside of here are little rubber isolators that hold this whole gimbal on. So you can see it, moves like this. But when you start flying in the cold, those become a lot more stiff and they stop working as well or at all. And you can see it in my Skydio versus Mavic 2 Pro video, where the Mavic 2 Pro is pulling back and it's just got these like shakes in it. And that's because those things were too cold. So, and putting an extra weight on them would just, when they're that cold, would not help. So, hey, Cardoso, welcome to the stream. You just narrowly missed me sneezing on live stream. Yeah. I realized that by the end of a live stream, I get super dried out and I have to drink water throughout a live stream because I'm talking a lot. And yeah, so I'm trying not to make it obnoxious and annoying and loud when I drink, so it doesn't annoy the crap out of anybody. But I've realized I've got to drink something. I need a straw, a big giant straw. But yes, so you all can pray that the lake that we're going to be going across, it's well frozen. It's like 4 or 5 feet thick now, but also that it doesn't have a lot of snow on it, because right now the area is getting anywhere from 5 to 12 inches of new snow. So yeah, anyway, I hope it's really good. But yeah. Thanks, Mr. 305. Thanks, Richard. So if it does go well, the next few videos you guys will see will be back in the beautiful backdrop that is my office outdoors in the state of Alaska. So, Cardoso, you're over the winter already? Yeah, you got hit with some cold weather recently, didn't you? We've kind of like moved out of the cold weather phase now, I hope. Geez, I hope we've moved out of the cold weather phase, because it was really too cold for too long. And now we're kind of into I think we're getting into that, like, we're almost like the end of February is usually when it starts to go, okay, it's warm during the day. It's cold at night. Everything freezes at night, but it's warmer during the day. And I love that time of year, because when you go outside, you feel the heat of the sun on your face again. And this might be an Alaskan thing, but like in December, January, the sun can be out and you could be standing in it, but there is zero heat from it. Like, it doesn't warm you at all because it's so far away. Good Lord. Minus 46C or minus 50C? Oh, yeah, that's way too cold. That is, no, thank you. I can't. I used to do that when I lived further north, and I can't. I just can't do that anymore. That is miserable. You can't do anything in that kind of temperatures. Yeah, so that's too cold. But I'm going out there. I'm taking the Skydio. So I'll be doing my plan is to do a Skydio settings video, which I've been wanting to do for a while, but just kind of my thoughts on the best settings, which means you'll get some lovely drone footage. And I got to check my calendar to see what else I'm supposed to do while I'm out there. The Skydio settings video, I think I'm going to film a Loom Cube video out there. And then maybe some other stuff too. I don't know. We'll see. 4060 minus 50. Yeah. Cardoso, it really doesn't matter when it's that cold. It's just too cold at that point. It doesn't matter. So, Harrison, would I ever drive from Alaska to the mainland? I've done that drive a lot. It's a beautiful drive depending on the time of year. I probably won't do it anytime soon. However, for my work, there are several potential trips down south in the future that are planned. And so one of those, I think, I'm 90% sure one of those will be to Toronto in Canada, actually. And I've got to make sure my passport's still good. But I think that'll be in the end of March-ish, somewhere around there. So I'm hoping so. I would really love to go down. And I think Chris Brockhurst and I think Donna did it. I'll both live in Toronto. If they do, I really want to see if we can get together and just meet in person, if they want to. We'll see. So, Mark Lazaby, you glad you reserved that white stuff for the holidays? If it gets cold here, you just put a long sleeve shirt. Yeah. But, yeah. The white stuff. So, supposed to be better tomorrow. Good, Cardoso. Glad to hear that. I'm glad. So, Mr. 305, you complain once it gets to 45 degrees in Florida. Yes, you wouldn't be able to take it. Yeah, there's something to be said about the fact that you do, acclimate to it. To a point. To a point. That's just ridiculous. So, Harrison Fleming vlogs. So, starting from, the Seattle area in Washington to drive to Anchorage generally takes about 44 hours of driving if you're driving right around the speed limit. And then you don't get a lot of delays from road construction, which there is forever road construction. And then there's usually tons of traffic too. So, but generally it's about 44 hours of driving. Though I could say after having done it, I think I've done it between 12 and 15 times. I've kind of lost track, but I've done it a bunch in the winter, like in January. There's never anybody on the road in January. It's just dead quiet and you can drive really fast. It's kind of nice. In the summer, you've got lots of motorhomes and lots of caravans heading up the road, which is not nice because they go slow and they're hard to get around. But you can drive. So you'd be driving for, a full day, between 16 and 20 hours. And that's generally, maybe 24 hours. That's generally when you get to the start of the Alcan Highway. And so you think, sweet, I'm finally made it to the Alcan Highway. I'm almost there. And you get on the Alcan Highway and you start driving, and then you see this sign that says 1,433 miles to Anchorage. And you're just like, oh, it's so much further. You're covering a lot of ground. It is a beautiful drive, though. Absolutely beautiful. If you do, let me know, because I would love to meet up. So anyway, if you got any more questions, I'm going to shut the stream down here in 5 minutes or so, because I have a meeting I got to run to, and I think Original Dobo is going to be streaming on his channel at 5. But really do appreciate it. I've been blown away by the fact that last year I started at around 3,000 subscribers, and my only goal was to post one video a week. And the obvious thing for me was to start posting gear reviews, because I had gear and I like going out and about, and that's kind of, doing reviews out and about, kind of, I feel like is something I can do that not a lot of other people are doing. And so, but to have the channel grown to 10,000 subs is just blown me away in a year. It's really kind of humbling and pretty awesome too. So I'm really, really excited about that. Cardoso saw the Sony Alpha rumors that the A7S III is finally releasing soon. Yeah, they said so. If I remember right, they're saying they're releasing it, but it probably won't actually start shipping till mid to third quarter of the year. So late summer, early fall sometime is what they say. So thanks, Bark. You will know if the videos come and they're out on a glacier somewhere, that's it worked out. If not, there'll be more of me sitting here Anyway. Yeah, I did read that, Cardoso, that it's going to be a great camera. I really hope so. I really, really hope so, because I love this camera. This is a great camera. I really like the A6600 that I'm using right now. The focus on it is so freaking fantastic. It's really good, but I would really like to get one with more and better video features is my goal. And that's where I think the A7S III will be perfect for me. And then this will become like more just stills camera. The A6600 will be a B camera, or something like that. I hope it has a flippy screen. If it has a flippy screen, I will like 4K 60 flippy screen of some sort, and then 10-bit, and that'll be it for me. I'll be happy. Yeah, if it had better IBIS, would be fantastic. So I don't care if it shoots in 6K. Like I mean, that would be cool. I probably wouldn't use it very often, but if it did 4K, something in 4K where we could get slow motion would be fabulous, and better IBIS would be amazing. That would be so wonderful. So, let's see. Thanks, Rick. Thanks for hanging out with me. Appreciate it. I'm glad you all were here. Absolutely. Be here same time next week, as far as I know, unless something happens or goes weird or something like that. But it's been fun hanging out with you all tonight, today, this afternoon, wherever you are. And yeah, appreciate you all being part of this channel and being part of what's going on here. So got some great things in store for this year. For this channel, things I'm going to be doing, working on, putting out there, I'm really excited about. I think it's going to be fantastic. I can't wait for the weather to get a little bit better, because I think that's when I really have fun going out to create out and about that's why it's kind of slowed me down here, just because I've been cooped up inside for so long. It sort of tamps down the creativity a little bit. But let's say too, next Friday I have my Friday 5, not this coming Friday, not this immediate Friday, but the one after that. I have a Friday 5 coming, where I asked Sydney Dionson, Donna Did It, Chris Bockhurst, and oh my gosh, I can't remember his name now. What? Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I forgot his name. Another creator, larger creator, all were kind enough to send me. Jev and Dovey, all were kind enough to send me their tips on how to shoot in the winter and how to do outdoor, like cold weather stuff. And so that'll be a Friday 5 coming up, not this week, but next week. And I'm really excited about it, because I just thought it was cool that they all said yes. And they all sent me some really great tips too. So, I mean, they are what they are. Great tips. Great guys. So anyway, appreciate you all. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'll be here same time, same place next week to answer more questions. And yeah, until then, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks again. Have a good one. Cheers.